So it's almost the end of August, so I thought it was about time we do a farm tour. So for those of you who are new to the channel, we moved up here last year, so this is our test year. I have not grown many of the flowers before, I've not grown many of the vegetables to success before, and I've never really sold anything before. So basically, I have no idea what I'm doing. So for you who may be starting out or also have no idea what you're doing, I thought I would show you around its startup. It's small, but how far we've got so far. So we started off the year without a polytunnel. We now have one, which is glorious, and I literally cannot wait until spring so that I can actually start all my seeds in here, which is going to be just life-changing. But this is the poly, and we have 2 rows of tomatoes down this side, and then we have 2 rows of tomatoes down this side. I never got round to putting the middle lot of tomatoes in. It's too late in the season now for those plants to grow and fruit, so I've just basically thrown those plants away. Next year we will have rows, this will be full, we will have rows completely across. And then the plan for this winter is to rip all of this out and grow lettuces in here so that I continue to offer lettuces on the Honesty stand all year round. So I just want to fill this with lettuce heads. So I have 3 types of tomato growing. Golden Sunrise, which is rather lovely. I have a cherry tomato, which is just starting to ripen. And then I have this beefsteak, which is yet to ripen, but is looking like it could be a nice big fruit. And then the plan was, between the rows of tomatoes, to interplant. We have 1 row of very feeble aubergines here, and you can see actually there is 1 little aubergine, but we're not going to be filling any Honesty box baskets with a big harvest. And that's even less so for the peppers, because I grew loads of peppers and they didn't really make it because I neglected them all. So we have literally, I think, 5 plants. Yeah, look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. We are only just getting flowers, and so our pepper harvest is going to be just ridiculous. I may even only eat these for myself rather than sell them. So that is the poly. I am wanting in time to put another polytunnel next to it and have a row of possibly 2 or 3 polytunnels, all of which are growing the hotter vegetables, the ones that need more temperature. Next year I do want to put loads of tomatoes in there, interplant a lot more, grow some chilies, some basil, more peppers, more aubergines. But again, this is the test year. So at the moment, I'm just happy that I have a polytunnel. And then we come to the outside market garden bit. And again, has it been a massive success? No, but we've been dealing with pests and diseases and me just learning the site. So we have our kale, which has been heavily hit by flea beetle and by caterpillars. Next year, gonna have to net these. Most of the caterpillar season is now over, so you can see the really ravished leaves, but all of this fresh growth will continue growing through the autumn when the caterpillars aren't here. So I can definitely start picking this and selling this when it gets to big leaves on the Honesty box stand. I don't know why that particular kale was really afflicted by caterpillars. We have another kale type down here, which has done a lot better. But as you can see, there is caterpillar poo. And at the moment, there's actually a caterpillar. Sorry, buddy. Little blighted thing. Oh, there's a huge one. No! Go away! Cabbage whites. So we do have a few good leaves on here, but the amount of time it takes me to pick them, wash them, make sure there's no caterpillars on it, it's not worthwhile. So I'm just going to wait till caterpillar season is done, and these are cold hardy. These will continue to grow through the autumn and probably even harvest in the winter. So I'll just start harvesting them then and washing them, cleaning them and selling them as sort of a winter soupy type crop. Then we have chard. Now I have planted and sown loads more, about another 100 plants, because these all went to seed. I chopped all the tops off because, unlike lettuce, chard leaves, when it goes to seed, if you chop the tops off, the leaves are still good. They don't taste bitter. And you can see this is where the stem was, and these nice new leaves are coming through. But of course, once they have gone to seed, they're not as vigorous growers anymore. So I'm just cropping these off while I haven't got anything else. But again, I have got loads of new fresh chard coming through that I will then pull all of this out and replace. They're selling okay on the stand. Not as popular as lettuce heads or spinach or kale, but when I've only got chard down there, which I have at the moment, it is selling. Then we have my pumpkin patch, which isn't pumpkins because I got the seeds muddled up. So this is actually cucumbers, which should be growing and hanging, and they should be in the polytunnel, but they're not. They're on the ground. I have to say though, I'm getting some lovely cucumbers off them, and people are loving them, and I am snacking on them because basically I could live off cucumbers, because homegrown cucumbers don't taste anything like the ones in the supermarket. They are incredible. So down here we've got a little cucumber, and they have, as I say, they've been doing really well. They should be growing upright with the cucumbers hanging down, but again, I got them mixed up. But this is a happy accident because I'm just noshing on them all day. Next to the pumpkins, acker cucumbers, and the broccoli, kale and the chard, we have lettuce, which has all gone to seed, but I have taken tips from Serena at You Can't Eat the Grass, and I'm going to try and use this fella in bouquets. And then I have restarted to plant new lettuces. So I've got probably 200 transplants to go in here, which are going to be used for autumn lettuces. And then I've got, in a week or 2 weeks' time, I'm going to start sowing more lettuces that are going to be put in the polytunnel, as I said, for a winter crop. So lettuces. Then we've got spinach. Spinach hasn't done particularly well because of the heat. And also, this is the bad thing about this black plastic. It absorbs the heat and it radiates. So anything that is not good with heat and is going to bolt even quicker. I'm still using some of the leaves and I'm selling them in little bags, but I have just sowed about 300 seeds and I'm going to grow them on and then transplant them. I was direct sowing, but I'm finding they were just getting lost in the soil and they weren't doing very well. Or I did transplant up here, but you can see, I did direct sow rather. Some of them are coming through, but then there's a lot of other little weeds. There's this one as well. But so I think I'm going to have more success growing little plugs and putting them in. Then we have the carrot bed, the beet bed, the radish bed. My carrots have been terrible this year, apart from this little clump, which you can see I didn't pull up in time, and there are some monsters, which I will eat. But it didn't seem any point in harvesting them, because if I'd harvested these and bunched them, there'd be about 2 bunches, which is pointless. I've sowed loads more down here. I've been watering them every single day, and they are doing a lot better. So that may be the way forward. My beets are here. Beets this year have done really well, really happy. There's nothing like a big clump of beets on a stand to look at. I think they're beautiful. Again, I have got another probably 300 little beets about to go in here for the autumn season, and hopefully some of those will be in the ground as well, so I can continue and extend that autumn season on the stand. I have this one vast beet, which I just don't want to dig up because I want to see how big it gets. And then finally the radishes. Radishes have been terrible. And I'll tell you why they've been terrible. They've been terrible because I have been lazy. I can't get it into my brain to harvest radishes in time. So by the time I think, oh, I need to harvest those radishes, they've already gone and they've gone woody. So you can see the growth of the radishes has been amazing. But that's not going to taste very nice because that is going to be so strong, so woody. Even I don't want to try that. So we will do radishes again next year. And I will do my best to harvest them in time. I will say, before we had the honesty box down on the stand, I just wasn't harvesting because I had nowhere to sell anything. So that's why a lot of it went far over what it should have done. So that is the extent of the market food section. I wanted to do 10 crops this year. I've done 10 crops. Have I sold 10 crops yet? No, but I have done 10 crops. And these are my little plugs, some of my little plugs to go on. So this is all the next lot of kale. These are some more lettuces. Here is some more chard. And then in here I have a little bit of coriander and some dill that I just haven't got round to doing anything with. But again, just seeing what works. And then on to flowers. Something that I've always grown in a garden as herbaceous perennials and things like that, but something I have never done as cut flowers. And so many of these varieties I have never grown. But on the whole, I've been really happy with how it's gone. I aim to grow a lot more next year. Growing them, picking them, making bunches, seeing people buy them has been an absolute joy. So I can say I've really enjoyed the flower farm aspect. First we have this little patch of glads. There are actually 60 corms in here. It didn't look like it, but they are just doing amazingly. I think they're stunning. The only thing is I haven't been able to sell them. Initially I was trying to sell them by stem for £1.50. Nobody bought them. Now I'm trying to sell them in bunches for £5. Again, they haven't really sold. So maybe, are they too expensive? But I just think, surely a spike like that has got to be worth like £1, surely. So I'm going to try putting them into bouquets, and we may be, in the next few weeks, starting to sell at another shop, the flowers. So I will persevere with these glads and see how they do. Down here we have dahlias. I've never grown dahlias from seed. These are my first ever seed dahlias. We are yet to get any flowers. But look, it's coming. I'm very excited to see what these are like. So we have dahlias all along here. Out of all my sweet peas, I have 2 plants, but covered and covered. So next year I will do a vast amount more of sweet peas so I can make pure sweet pea posies. But the sweet pea and cornflower posies have been doing really well. And the cornflowers are the next row. And they have just been tremendous. We've got a few different varieties. So this is black ball here. Then this is just a random. It came out of a black ball packet, but it's definitely not black ball. We have blue boy here. And then we have pink boy. And then out of one of the pink boy packets came a much lighter pink. And then we also got this kind of lilac colour. Now the cornflower posies have really been a success, probably because they're cheap. They're only £2. I wanted to have different price points starting off at a really cheap flower price. The only annoying thing is they take me quite a while to make. So for £2, I put in 20 cornflowers, so they are like 50p a stem, and then I also put in 4 sweet pea stems. And I tend to make them in bundles of 5, so it takes a while for me to cut 100 stems and then bunch them up, just ultimately to sell 5 bunches at a profit of £10. But people like them, and it does draw people in. And what I'm finding is if people come to buy food and they haven't got change, they throw in a posy or two just to make it up to a note. So that's been quite good. Another thing that's been really good this year and people have loved are the straw flowers. And I adore the straw flowers, not only because the vast array of colours, but also because you can put your bunches down in the stand. If they don't sell, you just pull them, turn them upside down and dry them, and you can use them later. So they've been really, really good. And then we have snapdragons, which I've got a few different varieties of. They've been great, but I've been finding them a bit troublesome as a cut flower. I find they go floppy, and they need a lot of fresh water to stay upright. So I'm picking these beautiful spires to kind of make up the central part of a bouquet. And they just go, and I can get them to come back a little bit, but they don't stay. Maybe it's how I'm cutting them or the way I'm bundling them, I don't know. But they're beautiful, and I will definitely do them again. But I need to learn more about how to cut and harvest these. Then we have our zinnias. Our zinnias are only just coming in because the first lot of zinnias dried out. The second lot of zinnias got slugged. And so actually, we have quite a small patch of zinnias at the moment. There are zinnias that go all the way down there and some that come here as well, but they're just not big enough to flower. I'm hoping we may maybe get a slightly extended season. But we've got some, and they're looking really, really nice. And I've already picked one bouquet of them, and that unfortunately was thieved within an hour. But now we have the camera and stuff down there. Hopefully they will last, and I can start to put bunches of zinnias down there and also adding them to bouquets. And then finally we have our amaranth bed and our sunflower bed, neither of which have done particularly well, and that's because I just didn't get the transplants in the ground and keep them watered enough. So they went in as fairly little plants, and they've just tried to flower as little tiny plants because they haven't got that root ball on them because I didn't get them in earlier enough. It's the same with the sunflowers. These sunflowers should be up here, and they're not. And they're already going to flower. So I'll be able to make some small bouquet stems with them, I guess. But again, that's my error. I just didn't get them into the ground early enough, and then I didn't keep them watered enough. I have got some sunflowers down here, but I obviously picked the wrong variety because look how diddy they are. They are so diddy, and they're also multi-flowered. So they've got all of these on the same stem. So to harvest that, I've either got to wait for some of these to open and then take the leaves off, or I've got to rip all of that off. So for now, honestly, I'm just enjoying them. Maybe when I've got a bunch of 5, I will pick them and throw them down on the stand and see if they sell for £5. But we shall see. So I am overall extremely happy with how this year has gone. Jock, apart from when the dog destroys half my bed, he just loves that wool. So I'm really happy with how it's gone. As I say, I've hardly grown any of this stuff before, and the fact that I'm growing it managing to get harvest, managing to actually have people come and spend their money and buy it is pretty incredible. I'm really looking forward to how next year goes. So that's the flower garden, and next year I will hope that this flower garden will extend all the way across here. And I've also started loads of perennials, and so I've got lupins and asters, and hydrangeas and things going. And I also got a load of biennials that I've now sown that I'm hoping will flower next year. So I'm going to need a lot more room, basically, for the flower garden. And then for the veggies, again, I'm really pleased with how it's gone. I just need more expertise and more sowing and all of that sort of thing. And then this will extend all the way down to that polytunnel. But for almost the end of August, for our tour, I'm pretty happy with how everything has gone, and I'm excited for the next few months of sowing and still harvesting, and then for next year.